Immigration has shaped economies for thousands of years, yet most people still misunderstand its true impact. So today on Histronomica, we dive deep into the real economic story behind Migration One that history textbooks rarely explain, but economists consistently confirm. Starting with a bold truth, immigration has always been one of the biggest drivers of growth, innovation, and national power. From the Roman Empire, which expanded largely because it absorbed millions of people from conquered regions into its labor systems, to the United States, where over 47 million immigrants today, about 14% of the population, contribute more than $2 trillion to GDP. Every year the pattern is unmistakable. Nations that attract people rise, and nations that lose people often decline. But why? The answer begins with demographics. Many of the world's richest countries, like Japan, Italy, Germany, South Korea, and even China, are aging rapidly. Japan's median age is over 49 years. Italy's is 48, Germany's is 46, and China's working age population peaked in 2014. When a country ages, two things happen. The workforce shrinks and tax revenue falls, while spending on pensions and healthcare surges. This creates what economists call the dependency ratio crisis. Immigration directly counteracts this by adding younger workers who fill labor shortages, pay taxes, and support aging populations. For example, in the United States, immigrants are on average 7 years younger than the native population. And according to Social Security data, they contribute hundreds of billions of dollars more into the system than they take out, helping stabilize programs for retirees. Meanwhile, Canada openly uses immigration as an economic tool, inviting over 43,000 new immigrants every year to offset its low birth rate, and studies from the Canadian government show that newcomers increase long-term GDP growth by 1% to 2%, annually, mainly because they start businesses at nearly twice the rate of native-born citizens. Historically, immigration has also been a powerful engine of innovation. More than 40% of Fortune 500 companies in the U.S. were founded by immigrants or their children, including Google, Tesla, Intel, Costco, AT&T, and Pfizer. Research from MIT and Stanford shows immigrants file patents at rates far higher than native-born citizens, making them central to technological progress. This is not new history, shows the same trend repeatedly. During the Islamic Golden Age, the Abbasid Caliphate welcomed scientists, scholars, and traders from across Asia, Africa, and Europe, turning Baghdad into the intellectual capital of the world. In the 19th century, the United States received millions of immigrants from Ireland, Italy, Germany, and Eastern Europe, who provided the labor that built American railroads, factories, and cities, transforming the nation into an industrial superpower. And after World War II, the United Kingdom invited migrants from the Caribbean, India, Pakistan, and Africa to rebuild its economy, staffing essential industries like transportation, steel, healthcare, and manufacturing, helping restore the nation at a critical time when local labor was insufficient. But immigration's economic impact goes far beyond labor and innovation. It also boosts consumer demand. Every new immigrant becomes a customer who buys food, rents or purchases homes, uses transport, and over time, invests in education and savings. This increased consumption expands markets, which is why studies from the International Monetary Fund and major economists like Giovanni Perry consistently show that immigration increases the income of native-born workers on average. However, the benefits are not equally distributed, which is where the controversy begins. Low-skilled immigration can create short-term wage competition in specific sectors, such as hospitality, agriculture, and construction. But even here, data shows the impact is far smaller than most people assume. A landmark study by the National Academies of Sciences found that immigration's effect on wages of native-born workers ranges from neutral to slightly positive, except for one group, Workers without a high school diploma, whose wages may fall by 1% to 2% in the short term. Meanwhile, high-skilled immigration, such as engineers, scientists, doctors, and software developers, has overwhelmingly positive effects. In the U.S., immigrants make up nearly 30% of all STEM workers and account for over half of PhD-level scientists and researchers. Silicon Valley alone has a foreign-born population of more than 55%, and according to the Kauffman Foundation, immigrants are twice as likely to start a business as native-born individuals. So while low-skilled immigration creates localized challenges, high-skilled immigration boosts global competitiveness. Still, immigration also creates fiscal costs. Schools, infrastructure, and health services must expand to support growing populations. Countries like Sweden and Germany experienced these pressures after the 2015 refugee crisis, where over 1.3 million asylum seekers arrived in Europe within a single year. But long-term studies show refugees begin contributing net positive taxes within 5 to 10 years, especially when given language training and employment support. The bigger economic question is, what happens when immigration stops? Japan offers a real-world answer. With very low immigration and rapidly aging citizens, Japan's economy has struggled with stagnant growth for over 30 years, despite being technologically advanced. Businesses face severe labor shortages, so severe that companies now shut down entire divisions because they cannot find workers. By contrast, countries with open or semi-open immigration, like the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK, have stronger long-term growth prospects specifically because they continue to replace aging workers. But immigration is not just about receiving countries. Sending countries also face major effects. Nations like India, the Philippines, Mexico, and Nigeria receive billions in remittances every year, money sent home by migrants working abroad. Globally, remittances reached $860 billion in 2024, surpassing all foreign aid and even foreign direct investment in many regions. In countries like Nepal and Tajikistan, remittances make up more than 25% of GDP, helping reduce poverty, improve education, and stabilize economies. But there is also a cost known as brain drain, the loss of skilled workers who leave to work abroad. For example, more than 69,000 Indian doctors practice in the US and UK, and African nations like Ghana and Nigeria lose significant numbers of trained professionals to Europe and America. However, modern research shows that brain drain often leads to brain circulation, as skilled migrants send money home, build businesses in their home countries, and sometimes return later with new skills and capital. Today, global migration is driven by economics, climate change, and geopolitical instability. As automation replaces low-skilled jobs, demand for high-skilled migrants is rising. As fertility rates decline, many countries now average below 1.5 births per woman. Governments are competing to attract young workers. And as climate change displaces millions, climate migration will reshape global demographics. Economically, the stakes are enormous. According to the OECD, a world with open migration could double global GDP because labor would flow to places where it is most productive. Even modest increases in migration can add trillions to the world economy. So immigration is not just a social or political issue. It is one of the most powerful economic forces in human history. And history proves that countries that embrace migration grow stronger, richer, and more innovative, while those that close their doors often stagnate or decline. As we conclude, remember this: immigration is not new, it is not unusual, and it is not a threat to economic prosperity. In fact, it has been one of the key engines of prosperity for thousands of years. If you found this deep dive into the hidden economics of immigration insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Historinomica, because we bring you the truth behind history and finance, one untold story at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.